Cool. Okay, so quick rundown for all of your renders with your glasses, especially when you're trying to match them up to your model. First thing first is figure out what you're going to use as your model. So find a photo. I'm going to use this dude here, just because this is a good harsh studio environment for me to recreate, because none of Fusion's defaults are going to be like this. So that's why I chose this in particular. It's going to be extra hard. If your subject is outdoors, it's going to be a little easier. Fusion has some built-in defaults. You won't have to mess around with lighting as much. So this is a little more in-depth in terms of lighting. So I know I have my light off to the left-hand side here. It's orange. And then it looks like I also, somewhere on the right-hand side, have a large reflecting wall reflecting back and getting this highlight on this side of his arm here. So I'm going to kind of build that out in the 3D model. And it doesn't need to be too fancy. You can literally, I'm just going to drop down Create and just make a box here. And I'm going to place one off to the left that I'm going to use as my my light on that side. And I'm going to create one more. Let's see. There's a box here on the right hand side. And you kind of want to do this to scale. So I did that first one way too close to where it would be in that actual model. So I'm going to pull this guy up higher because I want this to scale, right? Because these sunglasses are much smaller than a person. And I'm just going to bring this back that way and click OK. I'm going to go ahead and bring all of these. Oops. I hate that AI assistant. We're going to bring these up because our model is standing. And then I'm going to go ahead and move this, which is going to be my light. I'm just going to move this guy up and to the left here. And just give me something roughly started here. I think this block here is a little too close. So I'm going to bring it back a little bit and a little that way and click OK. So I'm going to go into my render environment now. And so I can apply for the lighting. If you look up emissive, you have a bunch of different options here. I'm just going to choose this first one as a default. I'm going to be adjusting plenty from what this is at. So it doesn't really matter as long as it is an emissive material, so it's easier to adjust. You could choose from really any of these. And you know what, because I'm going to do colors, I'll start on red because that's going to be the closest. I'm going to be doing orange because, again, my model is kind of side lit with some orange lighting. And then I need something reflective for my wall here. So cool, I've got that set up. It's going to lag a little bit. Now it's time to kind of start figuring out all of your lighting and your scene. And so this brightness slider right here, I'm going to go ahead and hit in canvas render so we can kind of see what's happening. This is going to be the lighting built in from your scene. This is totally fine to use, especially if you're using one of the environment libraries like the photo booth. So whatever that is. But because I want to have full control over my lighting, I'm just going to bring that all the way down to 0. And then all of my lighting is going to be coming from this block here. So let's see, I'm going to change my focal length for starters. Typically most photos are going to be shot somewhere between 30 to 80 millimeter focal length. You can kind of mess with this until it feels about right for your subject. And then I'm going to go ahead and come into the Appearances tab. I'm going to edit my my thing here. And I'm actually, before I do that, Let me go into my scene settings and change my background to environment, just so that I get a better reading on how well lit and how much I'm adjusting with this. So I had it on a solid color background before, but I want to be in my environment just for right now while I'm setting up my brightness of this piece here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to edit this, and I'm just going to crank up this luminance a little bit and see if that's going to be enough for me. So I'm starting to get some reflection here, but it's still not enough. I think I'm going to increase the size of my light and move it a little farther away. So I'm going to come back into my model here. I'm going to scale this guy up. Oh. And then I'm going to move it a little farther away, like so. And then let me peek and see if we have any other kind of lighting in here. It looks like there is a little bit of lighting from the top as well that's a little less orangey. So I have kind of the white cast on the top of his ear and his shoulder. So I can either create another panel that has light, or I can just change my scene settings to one that has some lighting on the top and then increase this brightness just a little bit. That's too much. And I'm going to do maybe grid light, and then I'll decrease my brightness here until it feels about right. So I'm really just looking at how much light I'm getting on the top of this here. So this is still too little, I think. I think I might go 400, and I'm going to hit in-canvas render again to see how we're looking. Okay, super orange. It looks like I've also got my depth of field turned on. I'm going to turn that off for now. I'll come back to that later. That's how you get a really, really nice photo later on. But for this, depth of field off while we get our settings correct. And then I'm just going to increase, my light here until I'm getting that. And maybe this isn't quite the right environment for me. I just want the skylight here. Let's try that. And decrease this lighting. And if I can't find anything that's quite right, I mean, I can always add in some more little just blocks that are emissive materials with just a white color instead of the red or orange. But for the sake of this, I don't need my image to be perfect. You can spend hours perfecting everything if you like. I think that I'm just going to put this to about here, and then let's see. Okay, so I've got my glasses kind of lit roughly how I want them to be lit. This is a really bright kind of streak I have on the lens here, so maybe if I was being a perfectionist, I'd go back and make it larger and not quite as bright. But again, I'm not going to worry about making mine perfect. I'm going to go back into my appearance settings and adjust my red LED. It looks white because my luminance is so high, but that's this material here. And then I'm just going to bring this a little more orange. And I'm going to pull in, I have a program called PureRef on my computer, which allows me to put kind of a ghosted image, which is kind of transparent to my cursor. Which highly recommend for stuff like this, because then you can align everything perfectly.
What's it called, Andrew?
PureRef.
Oh, there it is right there.
PUREREF. But just to get everything aligned, it's really nice. As you can tell, it's a little crooked. We'll fix that in a second. The other thing to think about too is perspective. If I were to render this image like this, right in the center of my screen, and then pull it off into the corner of your, your composite image, it would look a little bit off. And so I'm rendering this in the same spot on my scene as where it is in this image, and that's why I've kind of got the image here, the size of my rendering screen essentially. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this for a second, and I'm going to adjust. Actually, I'm going to leave it on for a little bit. I'm going to adjust my lighting a little bit more. Okay, good enough for the sake of the demonstration. The other thing is it's still a little crooked, and so I'm just going to go ahead and grab all of that and just, I don't want the assistant, and I don't know where my move tool is. Hang on. Let's see. Okay, it wants components, it looks like. That's kind of annoying. Okay, looks like it's only going to let me move them as components. So I'm going to select them all. I'm going to have to go into my design workspace and create components from bodies. And then I'm going to I've got this little anchor icon on here, and I'm going to unground this from parent. It had the little anchor here. It wouldn't let me move it if I didn't unground that. I'm going to go back to my render, select this, move it. Now it'll let me. Okay. And I'm just going to kind of adjust until it looks about right. So I'm going to zoom in a little more. Okay, that's pretty decent. I'm going to hit my render here real quick and see how it looks with my image. It looks like it's going to be pretty good. Now, you'll notice here, none of this arm on this side of the lens is even going to be visible at all. And so I might just toggle visibility of that off. Of course, the only things I didn't have named. There we go. Just to make it easier in Photoshop so I don't have to remove that, because removing anything that's behind a lens, especially like a slightly tinted lens, is kind of a pain in Photoshop, just to replicate the same kind of color distortion that you have throughout the lens. And so that's why I get rid of that. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hide this, and I'm just going to let this render out, at least until excellent. And then we'll bring it into we'll save it and then bring it into Photoshop and kind of composite it into your image. So I guess we just wait while it renders for a little bit. Does anyone have any questions, by the way, so far? No? Cool.
Where's a good place to find models?
So that one that I just showed you, I actually ran into this when I did mine because I wanted a cyclist, and there's no photos of a cyclist with a helmet without sunglasses. So I just AI generated it.
Okay.
You can be a little more picky too. I was able to tell I want like orange backlighting, and so I was able to make a scene that I thought would be challenging, and help you guys understand how that all works.
Do you use Google's like Nano
No, I used Viscom.
Viscom?
I'm sure there's probably better image generators now. I don't
I
use
don't know.
much AI anymore. But Viscom is,
There's a ton of new ones
yeah.
that have gotten so good.
Okay, so looks like mine is rendered out. One thing too to think about is if your computer screen is lower resolution, you may want to render this using like this teapot renderer where you can set all of your settings, which I'll show you how to do in a sec. I'm just going to save this before I mess it up, because as soon as I orbit or pan or anything, it's going to want to re-render and I'm going to lose this. So I'm going to hit capture image, and then see, this is going to limit it to even less than a 1080p image, which for your project, you might want a little higher resolution. The other downside is you can't choose transparent background with this. So I think I'm going to have you guys all, when you do your render, do it with the teapot, do custom, and then with 4000 is the, not 400, 4000 is the widest you can go. And then, I don't know, like, I'll just do 3000. And then just doing the local renderer. I'll just do standard for now because that's going to be fine for me. And then I forgot to check transparent background. You're going to want checked on. And then, yeah, exposure is what you have here. You can change this if you know what you're doing, but I'd say just leave it. Keep it simple. And then you'll probably want a final render, unless your computer's slow and it's going to take a couple hours, then you can get by. So let me re-render this because that first one didn't have a transparent background. Okay. I don't know, by the way, I don't know if PureRef works on Windows. It might, but I'm sure that there's other apps you can use. I think when I found PureRef, I just Googled like computer app to insert image that's transparent to mouse. Kind of a weird search query, but basically you want some way to superimpose an image that you moving and orbiting around won't be moving and orbiting that image. I guess you wouldn't be orbiting an image, but messing with it. And it's been super useful for stuff like this. It's also come in handy for a couple other things too. I don't remember, but there's been a couple times where I was like, oh, I'm glad I knew this tool exists and I have it.
It is on Windows.
It is on Windows?
Yeah, I've
Cool.
used it.
Okay, there you go. Nice and easy then. Let me go ahead and I'm going to start, while that renders, I'm going to start pulling that image into Photoshop here. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to download this now that it's done, and I'll say I don't know, I have this whiteboard or whatever. I'm gonna open this image. I'm gonna go in here. I'm just gonna go ahead and select it. Wait a minute.
You can just go select,
I thought I had checked transparent background though. That's what's confusing me. Yes, I did.
but if you want, you can just select, go to Photoshop.
What's that?
Go to Photoshop and then go to, image. No, go to, what is it? Subject, yeah.
I'm so old school with my selection still. I need to up my game.
I know.
Perfect. I'm just going to include,
Add a little bit there
yeah.
for some reason.
Okay. And I'm going to copy this guy and bring it in here. It's worked in the past, making it transparent. I'm not sure why it didn't here. It's so much easier. Oh, maybe because I still have my background as environment. Let me try that. Okay, we'll get that going in the background.
Are you saying because the lens is not transparent?
Yeah, it makes it so much easier than having to
Yeah.
kind of figure this out, because anything that's kind of behind this lens here to kind of
Yeah.
recreate is a pain.
Good, and then,
What's that?
You could select. Yeah.
Looks like it is. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay.
Yeah, try it again.
Trying to remember, what's the proper way to set up a clipping mask? Because what I normally do, which is not the right way, but what I normally do is I just copy his ear and then I add another layer on top and I paste the ear. You know, so that you get the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
What's that?
it works. You just did it. and
Yeah.
it's-
There's a right way to do that, and I'm just not remembering. And then something like this, like you can see these kind of pixels here. I didn't render this at a super high quality. I'm also getting kind of a white fringing on the edge of this. So one thing that I'd maybe consider doing is like when you select your subject here, maybe you change your selection softness, what's it called? On the edge of your feather.
Mother, yeah.
Yeah, change this to like 1 pixel maybe
Uh-huh.
before pasting it over, because this seemed to be, yeah, about a pixel. So,
I don't know what this is. It's gonna be fun. I'm trying to get it to be. It's gonna be bag and choose. It's the same count, so it should, maybe it's where you're saving it, I don't know. It could be where you're saving it, so.
gonna see if it's gonna work.
I would have just used the Band-Aid or,
The what?
have you ever used the Band-Aid tool? What are you doing trying to reflection?
I'm just trying to get rid of like this portion of the frame.
Have you used this guy? Ooh. Ah. This patch tool, have you used that?
I have not used that.
Can't slide this over, like, where would you say the color, like right here? I don't want to get his eyeball. You could, oh.
Whatever
Where are
layer
we
you're
on
on,
the-
I think.
Where are your layers? Where are we at?
It's layer 3, I think, is your sunglasses.
Oh, is it a smart object too?
Well, which I guess we want to be affecting the sunglasses or what? I haven't used this tool before. So they're on different layers, yeah. Oh, so it's like a clone stamp.
It kind of
kinda.
blends it in.
Ah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of just touch up.
Yeah, it kind of like takes,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. I mean,
Yeah. Perfect.
so
That looks good.
that tool's this, it's